Okay, guys, welcome to Dave's LFC Chats. And I have two legends with me today. Keith's back again, co-host Keith. He hasn't been paid yet. Money is in the post. How are you, Keith?
Good. How are you?
Well, I'm okay. I think Liverpool might have turned a slight corner, but they're stuck in gears at the moment. So hopefully they can get out of gear and turn the corner for Thursday night.
How much did you send in the post, by the way? Is it as we agreed, or less than that, or
you normally leave me?
You normally leave me short. It was a Subway voucher last time, to be honest with you, for a foot long. So
it's actually a little voucher this time.
You're lucky I came back.
Ivan, first time on, another Liverpool fanatic.
Evening, gents.
How are you?
Very good, thanks. Yourselves?
All good. We're just going to have a nice little chat here about the Reds, and that's all anybody likes to do once they follow Liverpool. What did you think of the weekend, boys? The 3-2, the FA Cup game. I know we don't really care about the FA Cup, but I mean the performance. What do you think, Keith?
I was happy enough with the performance, to be honest with you. Thought we had the better side. Thought we created more chances. And apart from, a mistake from young Reece, which can happen at his age, and a dubious free kick, well executed, I suppose, we didn't really get the rub of the green in the match. In terms of how we've been performing over the last couple of weeks, I thought the performance was absolutely fine, bang on. Went up, okay, conceded, but then, managed to get back to 2-2, and then it really looked like there was only one side that was going to go on and win the match. They brought all their big guns off the bench, and they had a little bit of a spell, but I thought the performance was good. I think on paper we didn't look as strong as they did. I was fearful. I'm not going to lie to you. I was fearful when I looked at the starting lineups on both sides, and I thought we looked like we were going to ship a couple, but I thought we applied ourselves very well, and I thought it was a decent performance, to be honest with you. Certainly the best performance we've seen in a while, going there and performing as well as we had. I was happy with the performance. Obviously not the results, but certainly happier with the performance.
Yeah, exactly. That the result wasn't great, but to be honest, the performance, we turned the corner slightly. I think we turned the corner. If you can turn a corner with losing the game, that's probably as good as it gets, to be honest with you.
To them.
But to them, I fucking hate them, to be honest. But anyway, Ivan, what do you think of the game on Sunday? Any bit of positivity? Any positivity from that game?
Well, I was definitely fearful, as Keith was saying, because on paper it looked cagey, and I wasn't sure, and like we were sharing notes around what they might do in terms of the shape and trying something different. I was thinking maybe you might put Origi in and just change the approach entirely, right? But I think the performance is excellent, really improved on the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. Salah scoring, and I still don't think particularly playing well with his back to goal. There's something not right there. But Firmino, I thought was superb. Milner, absolutely superb, getting in a couple of really heavy challenges on one or two of them. And I think to go there, I'd say they were kind of thinking, we're going to turn these boys over easy today, and looking at the team sheet the same, But I think to get that performance there, I'm more than happy. I went to bed happy on Sunday night going, yeah, we're back. We're fine. We'll be grand.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go to bed happy, I can tell you that much. But anyway, you know what I just noticed, and I didn't hear a huge amount about it, even on social media. I thought Alisson was a bit ropey in that game. I thought he was nervous or something. No, it's just the whole game. Some of his passing, some of his decisions in the game. I just thought he wasn't 100% now. It doesn't really matter. The game's over. We lost. Whatever.
I've seen it from time to time. I think he's a fantastic goalkeeper. I think he puts himself under pressure with his distribution sometimes with his feet.
Yeah.
I think he can, he can do that. And I think if we look a little bit shaky at the back and he doesn't have a rock solid defence in front of him, I think maybe he takes a little bit too much on his shoulders, sometimes. And he can look a little bit shaky with his distribution. And then sometimes that brings a bit of pressure on top of himself.
Look how good he was 2 weeks ago. Yeah. At home against them, he was absolutely superb.
Yeah.
Superb. But you're right, yeah. But I think that when you're forced to play out from the back and you're forced to play those little chip kicks just before the halfway line, that's hard to do for outfield players, let alone keepers, and he's probably under pressure, either side. But I thought for the free kick he was poor. because the ball was only going one place, right?
Yeah.
And no, not taking away the finish.
Yeah, I tell you what's poor though as well is it is his size, but you put the smallest man on the pitch guarding that side, right? So all he basically had to do was to get it a foot above Thiago's head. Thiago didn't even bother jumping. He just looked at the ball going over his head. So I think the positioning of Thiago was poor. He shouldn't have been there. There should have been somebody else there with a little bit more presence to give him a little bit more. He just had to whip it over his head and it was in on goal, to be honest with you. So I think there's a few elements part of that game. But one thing you mentioned, Ivan, which I think is important to maybe have a chat about, because we started off that game very well and they really only got impetus when Salah kept coughing up the ball and they were breaking down that side, which was our weaker side, and they were going to target that side anyway. Now, you go back to Salah this time last year, right? So earlier, started last, he was bossing that. There was nobody getting the ball off him. He was strong. He was putting himself out there. The ball was under control. He was laying his passes off. That just didn't happen for him the other night. He got his 2 goals. I think the paper's over cracks. I thought he was poor, and I thought he gave him a huge miss.
Is it the contract? Is it the, whinging about not being made captain? There's something not right. Like he doesn't look as physically strong. Like, no, you have to give Luke Shaw a lot of credit. He is probably the most improved player in the Premiership at the minute, and he had him for breakfast. And he's had him for breakfast the last 2 games.
He did the first match, which is very close. I suppose he had him for breakfast on that, right? And that's, you can't get away from that. And I think maybe he goes into this game, as you say, Ivan, with that in the back of his mind, and he's expecting a challenge. And he's expecting, but he should be stronger. It doesn't make a difference. It should be stronger. And you grow into a game, so do the simple stuff at the start of a game to give yourself a bit of confidence. Get your touch first, lay the ball off, do the simple stuff first, and then grow into the game, and he just didn't give himself that opportunity.
It's a sign of how good he is. 2 goals and
2 goals,
yeah. He could have had a hat-trick. He should have scored a hat-trick.
Identical chance. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a good Salah goal scoring record, assist record is. It's unbelievable. You really want to talk about records. It is unbelievable.
We're
nitpicking in a way. We're nitpicking. But at the end of the day, I just thought we turned the corner, as in the way we played. We opened up a bit, and I thought that was nice to see. But forget about that. We're out of the cup. We move on. Thursday night's huge. I think Thursday night, to be honest, my eyes were even more on Thursday than they were on Sunday. If someone asked me on Twitter, would you rather win Sunday or would you rather win Thursday? I'd rather win Thursday. Well, the league game, we've got to get back, get 3 points in the league. It's not going to be easy against Spurs, lads. It's not going to be easy. What do you think?
I'm up for it. I think they're well up for it. I think they've turned the corner. The biggest problem they have, right? And we talked about we talked about injuries, we talked about systems and players playing out of position. The fans not being there, that's the biggest thing. And in fairness, I was at the Spurs game last year at home, and I've never experienced crowd noise like it in my life. And not having that there, we suffered the most from not having fans of all the teams. Now, having said that, I thought we were superb against Spurs just before Christmas, and I still fancy to take them on. Like we look decent. We look decent now going forward. We look like we can score.
Well, I saw a table earlier on today, and it means absolutely nothing, right? Because it's not real world. But in terms of expected goals, we're top of the league. We're winning the league. So we've issues converting. We've issues converting. Now, I think maybe in an ideal world, if the centre half situation had been sorted out and we've more freedom in midfield, maybe we've got more goals coming out from other places and take a little bit of the pressure off the front three. But we have no issue, I suppose. We've probably still got one of the best defensive records in the league, and we're still up there. I think probably still got the best goal difference in the league. But we are not converting our chances. We are not converting our chances.
I think
maybe
you
that's
talked about it last week. Sorry, you talked about it last week. It's a perfect storm of 5 or 6 different things that are just compounding. Yeah. And when we don't get the ball out quickly, when we don't move the ball as a functional midfield up very quickly to the lads, defence is having just that half a second or second to reset, is disrupting the 3 boys. Then they're not as sharp. They're losing a bit of confidence. And if we don't then get the early goal, it's in the back of their minds, is this going to come? Is it going to come? Is it going to come? And it doesn't. But to me, to be 6 points off with half a season to go, I'd take that any day of the week. Any day of the week.
Yeah.
I would have concerns though that we on and we win a couple of games or three, maybe 3 games in the trot, and then we go off the boil a little bit, and some things happen again. Sometimes when a season is going that way, the season follows right the way through. So which would be very unusual because we had such a rock solid start. We started very well.
I think Jota coming back in a couple of weeks is going to help dramatically, right?
Yeah.
He was superb.
Big time.
It'll be an absolute madness if we don't bring somebody in to support the back four, though. Surely we can't get away from that. You can't get away from that. It'll be an absolute madness.
That's not going to happen somebody in, is it?
Don't worry, we're going to talk about that in a minute. That's going to be the next topic, of course. But I just think Thursday night, we had a great record against Spurs, lads. I think since October 17, when they beat us 4-1, I remember watching the game down the
huge
milestone. Do you remember Lovren had a nightmare that day against Kane? And that was a huge catalyst and turning point for Liverpool. We went on to get to the final of the Champions League. We ultimately lost against Madrid that season, and we finished top 4. But we didn't lose many games. That was our last big loss. And we hadn't lost to Spurs since. We've got a great record against them. I just fear. Sorry?
I'm more worried about, and I've said it earlier on today, I'm more worried about the officials than how we're going to perform towards United. I'm more worried about Atkinson and Moss. That's just the perfect storm of officiating from our perspective. Moss involved versus Spurs and Atkinson involved with us at any stage of the season.
They've all been like that. And it sounds petty, focusing on things that we haven't got or have gone against us, but it just seems every VAR that is potentially positive for us, it doesn't even go to a check, and anything that's even mildly negative for us, they'll pawn over as long as they can until the decision is made. And it sounds biased, but jeepers, I've watched a lot of football over the last couple of weeks, and we've been hard done by.
We have. There's no getting away with it. There's no getting away from it. And even when Oliver comes out and says, "Well, should have sent him off," and everyone barred David Hughes, right? Everyone on the planet goes, he's onside for Henderson's winner.
Can I have one more, please, sir?
Anyway,
he drives me around a twist.
You don't get any points for it. So you're as well to just say, listen, it is what it is, and you move on. So
exactly, and we have to deal with it. There's nothing we can do about it, Keith. Anyway, so
They played recently. They played last night. We've got an extra day against them. Maybe, I don't know.
They played half the team, I think, last night. Wasn't it? Against Colchester, the FA Cup, was it? Something like that?
No, it was against the Wanderers. Yeah.
But I think, what do you think? Obviously, we're going to go strong. We're going to have to play as strong a team as possible to get 3 points away at Spurs. It won't be easy. But centre-half pairings, I mean, Matip, I think, is back again. This Matip and Glass Matip and plain Matip instead of Young. Everybody was gave poor Reece with his stick. I know, it's all over Twitter. But realistically, he shouldn't be getting thrown in like that. And we come back to, should they sign a centre-half? We still have a few days left. I don't think that's going to happen. I just can't see it. It's too late in the day. Well, is it negligence?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that's completely out of the water. I'd say there's probably some. Will it happen? It may not happen. There might be enough time to make it happen. But there's been such a backlash and negativity from not just fans, right? But you're talking about, even James Pearce coming out, Anfield Rap, all of these guys all coming out and basically saying, listen, lads, you actually look like you're falling asleep at the wheel here. So, get your finger out now and sort out an obvious problem. Otherwise, the season is pretty much over. We're not going to go anywhere in the Champions League even. It's probably been over dramatic saying it's over because so much can happen in this season and it's absolutely mental. But for the sake of even taking in a defender on loan, paying his wages till the end of the season with no obligation to buy him, I think it's an absolute madness. And
I wonder, have they spoken to somebody? They must have spoken to somebody. Do you know what I mean? But who is out there? Who would come on loan? And who will come on loan fairly well primed not to be first choice? Should they be there next year? It's.
Well, if you take somebody in on loan, and maybe I'm not too sure who's ever talking. Is it Militao, whatever that guy's name is from
Militao off Madrid? Yeah, he's the only one that's been talked about.
He's the only one that's been talked about, and he's not the only one that's out there available on a loan deal for the end of the season. There's so many clubs out there now who would love to have a maybe third choice centre back off their books till the end of the season, and that third choice centre back it's probably better than where our 18-year-old or 19-year-old at the moment, and it's probably better than Williams.
Well, is Fabinho and Matip a choice for the rest of the season? Like, are we if everybody else stays fit, a midfield of Thiago, Henderson, and Gini or Keita, is that enough for us?
The problem is,
to get Fabinho back in the field.
Keita's never fit. He's still out injured, and Matip will only be able to play at least one game a week. And even that's a stretch. That's a stretch for him. He'd be injured again. There's no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, realistically,
particularly in the Champions League, that's where we'll be found.
Say so.
And that's pretty much what we have on the table now at the moment. Is okay. Let's see what we can do to try and get ourselves back in the reckoning, or back in the conversation for a league.
Yeah, and I think like
also, you've got to be looking over your shoulder in terms of top four. We got to make sure we're top four for next season.
The conversation in the summer was about replacing Lovren. I can understand where they were coming from in terms of the players that they had and the reluctance to spend. But then with the injuries, your 3 first choice centre halves are gone. Surely a club with the success we've had over the last couple of years has something to spend.
Well, I think
when the two starting centre halves were gone for full seasons, and it was pretty much known when they had their injury they were gone for the season. You're then left with some sort of a sticky plaster till the end of the season. So I think it's amazing, absolutely amazing. And maybe it's overconfidence, and maybe it's in terms of where we are in the league, and then didn't appreciate that we're going to have all the other injuries. Because even with those injuries at that particular time when you're making those decisions, Jota was scoring. We're top of the league. We look like we're only going in one direction, but it just goes to show you how brittle that was and how fragile that was. And one more injury, and a little bit of a kind of a lull in form, and the whole thing has gone downhill significantly. So,
but as you said, Keith, that's how brittle that was then. But look how brittle we could be in February with the lot of games we played. If we don't sign anybody and we get that one more injury, say Fabinho got injured.
Yeah.
Well, is he missing Thursday for 5 yellow cards?
Yeah.
He got his 5th one the other night.
Yeah.
There you go.
I didn't realise it Thursday, is he?
He got his 5th on Sunday.
I don't think I didn't hear anything.
The next match or the match after?
I think next match.
It's the next. I think it's the West Ham game.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay, right.
On Sunday. We play West Ham away. That won't be easy either.
No.
But what I'm saying to you is, Matip, you might as well forget about. He's never fit. He can only play one game a week. But if Fabinho got injured, so who else do we have? Young Reece Williams or Nat Phillips, who he obviously doesn't rate because he plays Williams ahead of him.
Yeah, the problem I have with him is, and I don't know if it was the Newcastle game, like he had a lot of the ball, but every pass he made seemed to be half a yard behind where it needed to be. I don't know if he was nervous, and then that just slowed everything down. Whether it was Trent or Robbo, they were having to take a step back before they could go on, and then everybody resets. And like, he's great in the air, and he was proud. His first game that he played, I think it was it in the Cup, and he was just immense in the air. And we thought, great, we've got somebody here now instead of Virgil who can take us through. But on the ground, he looks cagey and he looks a bit nervous, which is understandable.
Yeah, but apart from West Brom and Burnley, there's very few teams out there that are playing that kind of long ball up to front man kind of football anymore. And anyway, in the Premier League, most of them are putting it on the deck and trying to play through the channels. There's very few that are doing that. So Williams is probably the better bet than Phillips, just purely due to his maybe better ball skills. But again, he's gonna make mistakes. It comes with the territory of being a centre back at that age, and he'll continue to make mistakes until he's probably 23, 24, 25 years of age, until he comes into his prime. So
you're looking for the nature of that position this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay,
predictions.
So Thursday night. Sorry, Keith, go ahead.
You're going to go predictions?
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking it's going to be a strong lineup anyway. What would your midfield be? What 3 would you play? I presume Henderson's coming back. I know he's a slight strain, but I think he's okay.
Henderson, Thiago, and Gini. That has to be the start.
Yeah,
has to be that. No, I thought Milner was superb on Sunday. I thought you really
he won't play 2 games in a row, though.
No. But I think it's the 3 they kind of picked themselves, and unless you had somebody to replace Fabinho and put him back in midfield, like we miss him so much there. But
again, I think it's going to boil down to, do we take our chances? And I think if we can take 2 or 3 of our chances, we might be able to keep them to not scoring more than 1 or 2. I probably think it could be another 3-2, to be honest with you.
In
And hope,
our favour.
and hopefully we're on the right end of that 3-2, to be honest with you. If they score first, you know what kind of game it's going to be. It's going to be them sitting in and us with all the ball. If we score first, they'll come out a little bit, maybe that opens it up a little bit more. First goal could be absolutely vital in that match, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Son is a danger. I think Son is the main one to watch there. He is a good player.
Yeah. They scored against us without playing anyway well at all, and could have got something out of that game very easily, apart from our, near enough last minute goal, to be honest with you. Otherwise, they probably could have got something out against us in Anfield.
I fancy us. I go 2-1. I go 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1. I was going to say 2-1. I love me 2-1 away from home. I love me 2-1 because we're not keeping clean sheets away from home, really. So I think I don't care what the scoreline is, really. I just hope we get the 3 points. That's the most. Even a jammy 3 points and not deserve the 3 points, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We've got to turn the corner somewhere and just get some sort of 3 points from somewhere, don't we, lads?
95th minute, John Moss bar penalty.
and to VAR and be retaken.
Oh, yeah, right. No, Spurs get a penalty in the 93rd minute. Kane misses and Salah goes up the other end and scores the winner. Beautiful.
Take that as well.
Right, lads, I think we'll leave it at that. That was absolutely brilliant. Ivan, first time on, star in the making. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Cheers, lads.
Keto, the money is in the post. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks. Look forward to receiving the voucher. Talk to you later.
Bye yourselves.
Bye.
Stay safe, boys. Cheers.